Looking back at it, I think it was probably one of the greatest gifts that I've ever been given because it forced me to build something that I had been dreaming about. You don't have to be louder. You don't have to dance on Instagram. You don't need 1 million followers. You simply just need the courage to consistently share what you already know. People don't need another content creator. They need somebody who's actually lived it. Good marketing isn't about making more noise. It's about helping people understand why they should choose you. You'd rather have the right audience in front of you consuming your content than just people scrolling aimlessly and there's no real action taken.
Welcome back, everyone, to Inspired Authority, the podcast where we explore what it really takes to build influence, lead with intention, and create a career and life that is aligned with who you are. Today's conversation is one that I think many of you are going to relate to. Whether you're climbing the corporate ladder, building a business, or simply wondering if you're capable of something bigger, this episode is for you. I'm excited to welcome Nicole Curtis, founder of House of Influence. After more than 12 years building a successful career in corporate marketing, Nicole made the bold decision to leave it behind and build a business centered around helping leaders, founders, and professionals become more visible and more influential. In a world where your reputation often reaches the room before you do, your personal brand isn't just nice to have, it's one of the greatest career assets you can build. But building influence isn't about chasing followers or going viral. It's about showing up consistently, sharing your expertise, and creating opportunities because people know who you are and the value you bring. Today, Nicole and I are going to talk about what it really takes to make the leap, how to build a personal brand before you need one, why so many high performers struggle with visibility, and practical ways you can create influence that leads to real career and business opportunities. Nicole, welcome to Inspired Authority.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
So Nicole, why don't we tell everyone who you are behind the title, behind corporate, behind the business? Who's Nicole?
I'd love to. Yeah. So first and foremost, I'm a mom. I have 2 beautiful little kids. I'm a wife. I am happiest actually just in my own home, cooking in the kitchen, blasting music. I am a patio margarita enthusiast, all of the good things, But professionally, I have spent the last 12 years in corporate marketing, most recently leading marketing for a home builder. And, what I've loved most about marketing isn't just the marketing itself. It's really the creative challenge of understanding people. So figuring out what they care about, what resonates with them, what they're hesitant about, and then reframing messaging so it actually connects with the right buyer. And I think that's the part of marketing that just really lights me up. Talking to people who have something to offer and helping them tell that story. And that really makes somebody say, that's exactly what I'm looking for.
I love it. So now we have to talk about the music though really quick. So you're on your patio, you've got a nice fresh margarita. What playlist are you playing?
So I think this is going to throw somebody for a loop, but I really like tropical house, like Kygo. You'll hear that playing in our backyard regularly. Like my kids actually know some of the lyrics.
I love it. I saw Kygo live as well and also loved it.
Love it.
And I'm not a big house person, but I like Kygo.
I do too. I wouldn't say that I'm like fully house, but Kygo's a good summer pick.
Yeah. If I'm going to listen to house, it has to have lyrics.
Yes. Agreed.
Okay. So now you had a very successful career in corporate marketing. What was happening internally that made you realize it was time to leave?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I always tell people I never left corporate because I hated corporate. I loved the work. I loved leading teams. I loved the collaboration. I loved the opportunities that corporate provided me. But I think what kept tugging at me was realizing that the really good marketing strategies happening inside huge corporations are oftentimes out of reach for smaller businesses or entrepreneurs or corporate founders or, those who don't have the ability to bring on a full marketing team. And I just kept thinking about interior designers or a founder of a new business wearing 10 hats. And, they need somebody that can bring in this real marketing strategy and help them think strategically. So then life actually made the decision for me when I was laid off last October unexpectedly. It was pretty heartbreaking and it felt really terrifying. But now looking back at it, I think it was probably one of the greatest gifts that I've ever been given because it forced me to build something that I had been dreaming about.
That's amazing. So, what I'm really hearing is that you are driven by impact. And sometimes in life, there are decisions that are made for you, but usually it's because they're putting you in the place you really should have been all along.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I had been thinking about it, it'd been on my heart, but I am a creature of habit. I like consistency, and corporate was consistent for 12 years. But I just felt in my heart, there is something bigger out there. And sure enough, God closed that door and he opened the next one. It was perfect.
I love to hear that because God does push you in the right direction. Even if it sounds and feels hard in the moment, on the other side of it,
It's a blessing.
yeah, it's always the blessing. Yes, I love it. So, was there a moment after you had intentionally started to, okay, well, now I'm building this business? Was there a moment that made you realize, wait a minute, this is the right direction? I'm going on the right path.
Yeah, that's also a really good question. So I would say it wasn't even when I landed my first client. It wasn't when I hit my revenue goal. It was actually recently when I was sitting across from a business owner and I was asking him a few questions about his business. And I could immediately see opportunities that they couldn't see because they were in the day to day of it. And we left a strategy session and he said, I finally feel like I have clarity. This was a mind blowing session. Now I know exactly the 5 things that I need to do tomorrow to make this business really take off. And I sat there thinking, this is exactly what I was hoping for. I just want to help other business owners succeed. And it was just that, like, it lit us both up. And that's when I knew this is exactly where I'm supposed to be.
I love it. So, what I'm coming to realize is that a lot of business owners, they're driven by their impact in the business that they do, but they don't realize how important actually building the brand is to whatever business they're running. How do you define a personal brand, and why do so many business owners actually misunderstand what it is?
Yeah, I think oftentimes people overcomplicate what a personal brand is. Your personal brand is simply what people consistently think of when your name comes up in the room. It's not your logo. It is not your brand colors. It's not your Instagram aesthetic. It is your reputation at scale. So, what do people think of when they hear Nicole Curtis?
I love that. You know, you work with both business owners and professionals. What are some of the biggest mistakes high achievers make when they're trying to build visibility via their personal brand?
Yeah, I think they wait until they need visibility. They wait until they need it. So they think, I'll start posting on LinkedIn when I launch this business, or I'll start building my connections when I want a promotion or when I'm job searching. But influence compounds. I think the people getting opportunities today, they started showing up years ago.
Can you share a little bit of insight about some of those opportunities that came into your life because people knew who you were before they even met you?
Yeah, I would say that all of the amazing opportunities that have come my way, both in corporate and with me starting my own business, all became all came about because they knew who I was. That is, I'm talking about speaking opportunities. I'm talking about podcast invitations. I'm talking about my first clients who reached out to me, partnerships. All of the really good opportunities that came about was because I started talking to people years ago. I started forming these connections. I love creating content. I love showing up. I love being a part of conversations. And so I think that is truly the power of consistency. I didn't, start showing up and creating these conversations or these communities when I was in a dire situation, when I launched something completely new. This all happened 10 plus years ago.
A lot of people in corporate, I would say, associate visibility with self promotion. And I think that makes a lot of people really uncomfortable. How do you help people shift that mindset?
Yeah, I think The first thing you need to think about is visibility isn't saying, look how great I am, or look what I've accomplished. It's saying, I've learned something that might help you. And those are two completely different conversations.
There's so many people out there that have done incredible things in work and in their life, and their story can really bring a lot of impact. You don't need a million followers to have an impact or to have influence. What would you say actually creates credibility online?
Yeah, I'm so glad you asked that question because I think that obviously gets, jumbled in this world when we're talking about social media or we're talking about views or we're even talking about likes. That stuff really truly doesn't matter. What matters is sharing real experience. It's teaching from what you've actually lived. There are people with 500 followers making millions because they have the right 500 people in front of them. We're not talking about, attention that you say you got a million views on content you created, but you don't have a single conversion. You don't have a single person wanting to buy what you're offering. I always say attention is rented and trust is owned experience.
Yeah, I didn't start building my own personal brand until maybe last year. And now I'm starting to learn more about like the content world. I don't want to be a content creator at all. I want to have an impact similar to you. And I've learned a lot about that, which is like you don't want to go viral if it means you're going to get the wrong followers?
Yeah, I would tell anybody who's kind of marinating on that is stop trying to become an influencer and start becoming a teacher. Answer the questions that your customers ask every day or the audience that you want following you. Ask the questions that they're interested in hearing answers to. Share lessons from meetings. Share lessons from a phone call you had with a founder. Talk about mistakes. Explain why decisions get made. People don't need another content creator. They need somebody who's actually lived it.
Yeah. And then when you start sharing those stories, again, you're going to attract the people that actually see value in your content and then ultimately see value in what you do as a business owner. Because that's the goal, right?
That's the goal. That's exactly the goal. You want them to resonate with you and hear a story from a lived experience, even if it was a mistake. It's okay to share mistakes. We're not talking about perfectly polished content that's perfect. We're talking about real, raw, lived experiences where you said, shared a story of a mistake that happened and what you learned from it. People want to hear that real, raw data.
Yeah. And that's, I think, a problem that we're seeing now a lot with just content in general is AI is creating the content. And so it all sounds the same. So the only way to truly differentiate is by telling your story.
Exactly, because nobody can replicate your story. That's only from you.
Yes, I love it. Okay, so how can leaders show up in this way, right? Like telling their story authentically without feeling like, oh, I don't want people to think I'm being a content creator. I want them to know my purpose. So, like, what advice would you have for those people that do need to show up? They want to show up authentically, but they're scared about kind of what the outside world will think.
Yeah, I actually had this conversation with a founder last week where he's like, I'm nervous to show up. I'm afraid that what I'm sharing won't resonate. And I'm afraid that it's not perfect enough. And I always stop founders right there and I say, again, people are craving real. So you need to be showing up consistently. Even if you don't think that your post is perfect, nobody's looking for perfection. If you can even show up twice a week, that's more than a lot of your competition is showing up. So show up twice a week. And I always say, start jotting down things in your phone. Start, jotting down conversations you had with somebody on a meeting or over the phone or a conversation you even had, at a restaurant. Start talking, just start writing those things down in your phone and then start creating content from that. Because again, those are real lived experiences and just share that. Start there, start small. It doesn't have to be perfect, but start showing up consistently. That's the number one tip I always share.
Yeah, I love that. That's how I started to get ideas for what I would post was So often I get in the car and I'm like, I've been on meetings all day, so I just need like silence. So I end up doing a lot of voice notes in my phone. Sometimes when I'm in the shower, I'm like running out of the shower. I'm like, I need my phone. I just had an idea. I got to write down, you know?
Yes, you don't want to forget it.
Exactly.
Another tip I would give too, and I think we talked a little bit about this previously, but start asking or answering one customer question every week publicly. Not necessarily like a customer or your target audience. Who do you want following you? Who do you want learning from you? Start by thinking about questions they might have and start answering those. I also always say, this is one of my favorite things to say, is stop posting for strangers and start posting for your future buyers. Because we're not just trying to get attention because something looks perfect or it sounds pretty. You're creating content for your target audience. And then third, stop sharing generic advice. Everybody can share generic advice. AI gives you generic advice. Start sharing your lived experiences because, like we said, nobody can copy your lived experience.
Yeah. I really love that. Are there certain formats that you would recommend for someone who is just getting started? I think the B-roll is like the easiest thing to kind of do, but they're saying that the yapping is like the hottest thing to do right now. Like, do you have any formats that you typically recommend to your business owners who are just getting started?
Yes. So specifically on LinkedIn, I always recommend more of like a white paper style where you're just writing it. Don't think that you need to always attach a photo or a video to your LinkedIn content. Just start writing organically and naturally. And that tends to perform incredibly well for business owners. Because if you think about it, LinkedIn for business owners, typically your primary target audience is hanging out on LinkedIn. They might not necessarily, depending on your industry, be hanging out on Instagram per se or X or TikTok. Business owners usually can find a lot of traction on LinkedIn. Now, if we are talking about Instagram content, I do recommend B-roll because it's easy. It's very easy. Again, we're not talking about polished, perfectly edited and curated content. Set up your phone, even when you're on a podcast right now, for example, or you're talking on the phone or you're doing a webinar, just set up your phone and create some B-roll. Or even when you're walking down the street, B-roll is showcasing content that just happens pretty naturally. It's not super crafted or curated. You could be sitting in the backyard sipping your coffee and you're thinking about what your day is going to look like. B-roll performs really well because people can resonate with that content. And then add a nice overlay hook to that and you're off to the races.
I love it. Do you have any advice around like just the fear of showing up in real life as like, you ever see, you ever seen what is it, influencers in the wild, and it's like somebody creating content and then they get recorded and then it gets posted. So I have like that major fear of like who's gonna see me creating content. So I'm one of those people that are scared of it. Do you have any advice for people that are like me that are scared to kind of do content in the wild?
Yeah, well, I have two directions that I'll take that because some people are in their own home and they're still afraid of putting a camera in front of their face and talking and it sounds all jumbled and I think most of the time when people try to create content in their home, they have a script. I would say a lot of people have a script. Scratch the script because you're going to be trying to follow that way too closely and you will sound like a robot or you will sound like you're reading from a script. Think about a couple of the ideas and themes that you want to share, but put down your script, just walk around your house and start talking because it'll come across way more organic that way. But if you're in public, it is scary because, you're showing up in front of random strangers. But think about it, a lot of people do that nowadays. And I think you need to just kind of just shake it off. You're creating content for somebody else, not the strangers walking by. So don't be afraid to just prop up your phone, in a window in front of a cute building and just record. Just do it. And you'll never see that person again. Just, let that fear go out the window because you're not creating the content for them.
I always tell myself that I'll never see these people again. I think that's good advice. I just started following this woman who is like posting every single day. She gets up in front of wherever she is, gets up in front of a crowd. She's like, "Excuse me, can I just take 20 seconds for all of you and tell you that, whatever she's going to tell them, but she takes only 20 seconds of their time. She's like, I promise this is almost over." And like so often everyone like claps for her because they're like, wow, that was
It's so brave. Like I can admire that. A lot of people don't have that bravery. I love that.
And I, like, find myself smiling the whole time watching it because it's so uncomfortable, like, deeply uncomfortable for me to even watch to feel what it must feel like in that moment. But wow, I'm so proud of her. I don't even know her.
Right, exactly, and if she can do it, we can do it, right?
Exactly. So that's really helpful. Now, we talked a lot about, or maybe we didn't feel like we need to talk more about the people that are in corporate that aren't building their brands yet because they feel like, well, I'm in my role and I'm doing great and blah, 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 right? They don't feel the need to build a brand yet. What advice or what feedback would you have for the people that aren't building yet today, but are high performers and probably should be building a personal brand?
Well, first I would say it's never too late to start, but you probably should have started, like, years ago. People always think they don't need to build it until they're put in a situation where they wish they had it, and so don't put yourself in that position. Start now, and I'll also say, you know, I think I talked about this at the beginning of our talk, but all of the opportunities that came my way were because people already knew about me. People don't just find you if you're not showing up, right? So all of my speaking opportunities when I was in corporate, when I was asked to speak at big conventions, all of my podcast invitations, all of the really cool opportunities that came my way in corporate were because I was already showing up and people knew my name and they were sharing my name in other rooms. The same thing happened when I started my new business. I did not have to start from scratch. I will say the first 5 to 6 clients that came my way for House of Influence were all referrals because people already knew me. They already had heard my story. They were following along. They liked what I shared. And so I didn't have to go out and market myself like crazy to find business. It was all organic because of the relationships that I established from my personal brand 10 years ago.
I think a lot of people probably have this misconception that it's like, it's too late, right? Like, there was like influencers, and now there's like people building personal brands. And the thing that really freaks me out personally is the AI brands. Like, I see like AI podcast hosts, and like, as soon as I see it, I'm like, who would follow this? And then they have hundreds of thousands of followers.
I know, but I'm telling you, people can sniff that out. People know when they're watching AI, and people, especially in a tech and AI driven world, people are craving more of that organic, that real life, the real lived experiences, even when it feels unpolished and like they're talking about mistakes. People crave that. Think about who you follow on Instagram or whose stories you're watching. It's usually unpolished, somebody in the kitchen. She's talking about what she's doing that day or how she, cooks dinner for her kids. And it's so raw and real. People crave that. And they're craving more of that in today's AI driven world.
I agree. So you would say that the opportunity is, I mean, still great to build a brand.
It's never too late to start. And you will see sometimes people take off within months just because they start sharing their voice. And I oftentimes see founders who are too afraid to start. They start posting right away and their content takes off because it's real. They're talking about multi-million-dollar company that they created from scratch. And they're talking about the hoops that they had to jump through or the major fails that they had. Like, people like following real stories. And that's what's important about storytelling as well, is just start sharing your stories and see what happens. Even if, and I think another fear that people come across is, okay, I posted something and it hasn't gotten a single comment or a like in the first 5 hours. Don't worry. That's normal. You need to stay consistent. Keep showing up, keep trying, keep pivoting, see what's working, see what people are commenting on, what people engage with, and you can shift your content strategy once you start watching that. So it's never too late to start. You need to just start, even if that's today.
Yeah. I just saw on one of, because now I'm in the algorithm of content creation. So one of these people just said that you don't want to blow up right away because you actually want to have a really beautiful portfolio on your page that when something does hit and they go to your page, they see all of the content that you created prior to you kind of going viral or going big.
Well, that's exactly right. Say you're just creating an Instagram for the first time, you have one post up and nothing else. Nobody's really going to follow that at first because there's nothing there, but just keep the consistency, because once you have 15 posts up, you're exactly right. Once a content piece takes off and it performs incredibly well, they're going to navigate to your profile and see that content that you created prior. So that content does not go to waste. It's not like it's just archived and it's never seen again. Just like you said, it's a portfolio that you're creating that people will navigate back to. So, say you create some content where you're like, I think this is going to perform incredibly well. I love the story that I'm sharing. I think it has a lot to offer. And then it doesn't perform. Don't freak out, because one day people are going to go back and consume that.
The other thing that I love that I see some creators post is like, you ever seen when somebody posts something and they only get 50 views or 100 views or 200 views, and they're like hard on themselves, and then you see a picture of 100 people in a room and you're like, whoa, that's actually a lot of people.
That's a lot of people. I also think about it. I tell people this too. Would you rather have a post that has, 15,000 views, but no conversion, nothing happened from it, nobody purchased from you, you didn't get a lead from it, you didn't get an email? Or would you rather have a post that has, I don't know, like 150 likes, but you got 3 leads from it? It's all about conversion. You'd rather have the right audience in front of you consuming your content than just people scrolling aimlessly and there's no real action taken.
Totally agree. So, if someone wanted to become more visible over the next 90 days, what are 3 things you would tell them to start doing tomorrow?
Well, I would say you need to first just start posting. Number 1, just start posting, whether that be on LinkedIn, depending on your target audience. Where is your audience showing up? You need to start posting. So that's number 1. Number 2, you need to start getting in the right rooms. And when I say that, I mean, you need to start getting in front of the right audience. Maybe it's the ideal buyers you're trying to get in front of, the ideal founders, leaders. You need to start commenting. You need to start being a part of a community. That's what we call community engagement. You need to start commenting on their posts. You need to start getting in front of them, because when you start interacting, then people know that you're real and authentic and you want to be a part of this community. So it's posting, it's community engagement. And then I would say, start just reaching out to people. Don't be afraid. Like, if you say you want to have a conversation with somebody in your industry, but you've been too afraid to reach out, or you don't know how to get in front of them, just try. Just reach out, have a conversation. You never know if it's going to open the right door. Start building connections, whether that looks like reaching out on LinkedIn just randomly one day, or showing up in somebody's Instagram DMs because you admire what they're doing. Be a part of a community.
So I personally really love this advice. And it's not just showing up online, it's showing up in person, like you had mentioned, because when I started kind of building Inspired Authority, first of all, I didn't even have a name. I was just going. So I started recording episodes and I didn't even have a name yet. But during that time, I went to a networking event. I saw it pop up on my Instagram and I was like, I need to get out into the world because I sit here most of my time.
Yes. Yeah.
I went to the networking event and I actually ended up meeting some incredible women in business and entrepreneurs, and that really inspired me. And I actually connected with the woman who was doing content there, and then she helped me do some of my content for my business. So again, if she wasn't there, if I wasn't there, like, that's a lead that she just got for going to that network event. And then I just got value out of working with someone that I met at a networking event.
That's exactly right. You just need to put yourself out there. Start going to events, start meeting people. That too is creating your personal brand.
Yeah. So what's one simple habit that you've developed that has made the biggest difference in growing your influence?
Yeah. So I think, and this kind of goes back to what we talked about earlier, but I have a running note in my phone. And whenever I have an interesting conversation with a client, or an interesting conversation with a colleague, or I hear somebody ask a question, or, I sit in a strategy meeting, or I am even sitting in a restaurant and this amazing idea pops into my head, I just keep this running note, because that is the content that I'm seeing performs the best. And that is going to, it's going to provide content for me to post on LinkedIn where I'm having amazing conversations with people. So I think that's the best thing that I've done, is just kept a running list and just share, just randomly share the things that I'm navigating, the hardships that I'm coming across. I share a lot of the behind the scenes because I think there isn't a lot of, you know, storytelling out there of what it really looks like to start a business. It's hard, it's scary. And I think there are so many people out there that are thinking about doing the same thing. And if I can go before them and share mistakes that I've navigated that they don't have to navigate, then I feel like I've helped somebody in their journey to becoming an entrepreneur. So keeping a running list in my phone is like the silliest but most impactful thing for me.
Yeah, I do the same thing, and I went on vacation and I started journaling while on vacation. I am very bad at being consistent in journaling, but what I will say is the amount of content I actually got from those journaling sessions was so good. So even if it's just like spending like time just writing and like reflecting on your day and your life, like journaling is also a really good thing to do to get the juices flowing, you know?
It absolutely is. It absolutely is. Yeah.
So you mentioned being in business being hard. This is very common. I hear this from a lot of the entrepreneurs that I meet with. What surprised you the most about running your own business that no one prepared you for?
Yeah, I don't think nobody really prepared me for how much of entrepreneurship is emotional. I mean, one day you're having like you're on a high. You just landed your dream client and you're living your best life, but then the next day you're wondering if you'll ever hire another client or bring in another client. You're constantly questioning where your revenue is going to come from or what's going to perform. But I've learned that confidence has to come from your mission and not your monthly revenue.
I really like that. I interviewed the founder of a brand that is focused on it's a mission-based business. It's totally nonprofit, and her biggest thing was, "This is not about me. It's not about me. It's about impact." And when you start to think about the impact being greater than what you're doing every single day, it's not always about the money. The money will come, you have to learn how to monetize, but the money will come after you're focused on, like, the impact and the mission that you're here to really drive forward.
Well, I'll also say that that confidence and that, it's not just externally. I don't think it's just like an external mission. It's an internal mission too, because yes, I wanted to make impact externally, but I also wanted to make impact internally with my family. I think my biggest why, I have two little kids. They are 4 and 6. And I just desperately wanted more time with them. I wanted to manage my own hours. I did not want, to be stuck in a corporate office from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and missing out on my son's performance at school. And so I thought, if I can just really focus on why this matters to our family, which is more time with my family and more time in our own home, then like you said, the money will come. And I had this moment. So this was maybe a week after I was let go. And I'm laying in bed one night and I'm wide awake and it's like midnight and, the whole house is sleeping. And I'm thinking, how is this going to work? Because, I do need to bring in income for my family, but my why is to spend more time at home with my family. And I just heard God say, the money will come. And I've just wrote that out. And I thought, it is not about money for me. At the end of the day, it's not about money. It is about spending more time with my kids. And sure enough, the money did come because I was so focused on, yes, external impact, but internal impact for my own family unit as well.
That is so beautiful. So, how has entrepreneurship changed your identity beyond your career?
It's definitely made me trust myself more. The corporate world gave me incredible experience, but entrepreneurship has taught me that my ideas have value and I'm becoming much more willing to bet on myself.
Yeah. Trust in yourself is critical in anything. I think so often we listen to all of the people and the influences and, who we see when we're scrolling and not enough to our own intuition and what we want and trusting ourselves in this life.
Absolutely.
So I want to do a quick little rapid fire. So I'm going to ask you a question and I'd love to hear what comes right to your mind.
Okay, let's do it.
So, what's one book every leader should read?
Ooh, I just recently read The Obstacle in the Way. I actually have it in front of me right now, and this was a game changer for me when I was pivoting in my career. So The Obstacle in the Way.
What is the most overrated marketing advice?
To go viral. I'd rather help somebody generate revenue than rack up views.
Love it. Biggest branding myth?
That branding is your logo or your brand colors. Branding is what people expect from you before you even show up.
I love that. Yeah, some of the biggest brands in the world, like you don't even associate them with any of that. It's like how they make you feel.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
What is the best career investment you've ever made?
Best career investment ever has been betting on relationships. We talked about that our entire time together, creating my personal brand, but just crafting these amazing relationships that have taken me so far in life. That is the number one career investment for me.
That is so good because when I think investment, I always think money, but actually, an investment is also time, and building out relationships takes time. But the output and the ROI of that time in the right relationships can be extremely impactful.
That's exactly right, because the relationships that I established have helped me start House of Influence and have become my first referrals for my new clients. So all day long, relationships.
I love it. So, what's something you're saying no to this year?
This was another reason why I started my own business, but something I'm saying no to is being busy to just feel productive. I am accomplishing so much more in a shorter work week than I was when I was working Monday through Friday in a corporate office. I am protecting time for strategy, family, and the work that actually moves the needle.
I love that. I actually want to dig into that for a brief moment which is, do you have any advice for people who are still in corporate but feel like that they are doing that, which is being really busy and not doing enough of like what really moves the needle?
Yeah, I think especially for marketers too, I always say, marketers who work at a big business, they're often seen as the junk drawer of the company. Anytime a company doesn't know who a certain project goes to, they just offload it onto marketing. And it's so easy for marketing to just be working on 100 different things. But at the end of the day, marketing is still responsible and can support revenue generation. So if they look at their list of tactical things that they need to do throughout the day, they need to look at it and say, what is actually you know, helping us earn revenue and what is actually supporting my boss in what he's trying to accomplish. Because if it's just, I need to post on Instagram today, that's not going to move the needle. That's not going to help generate revenue. You need to be focusing on things that make the biggest impact for revenue and for your KPIs.
I love it because I think, and I'm in corporate still, a lot of us get a lot of things on our plate that are non-revenue generating. And when you're in a revenue generating role, you've got to focus on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. And it's okay to delegate things, because I think that it took me a long time to feel comfortable with that, delegating things. And it's okay. And this is one's going to take some time, but it's okay to tell your boss, these things, this isn't priority right now if you want me generating revenue. It's okay to push back.
Or ask for more resources.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely.
What's one word you want people to remember when they think House of Influence?
I would say clarity, because good marketing isn't about making more noise. It's about helping people understand why they should choose you. If you're clear with your messaging and you're clear with your target audience, the right audience will find you. So clarity.
That is so good because you don't just want a bunch of followers for followers' sake. That's for sure.
Nope. Nope.
If anyone is in their career right now and they're thinking, man, I'm just stuck right now. I really know I'm capable of more. I want to build influence, like, outside of social media and building a brand. Is there any other advice you would share for those people who just feel stuck, but they know that they want more?
I think that I would tell them to take the leap and take the risk on themselves. It is really scary, but if you have unwavering belief in yourself, then you really can't accomplish anything because you won't let yourself fail. I think that's kind of what pushed me is, yeah, I was fearful at the beginning. I had never not worked in corporate. I had never started a business. I don't have family members who own businesses. I don't have anybody to follow, but I just had this unwavering belief in myself that I could do it and I would find a way. And here I am, and my business is thriving. It's only been open for 9 months, but I had this insane and almost stupid belief in myself that I could accomplish it. And it paid off. So just believe in yourself. If you have this desire in your heart to make the move, time's ticking away. You don't have forever. So believe in yourself and pull the trigger and you'll figure it out. If you believe in it enough, you'll figure it out.
I love that. I sometimes do say that some of the people that look the most delusional when they get started are the people that actually end up being the most successful in this world.
Yep. That's right. That's right. And I think I've kind of shown that all throughout my life because I remember when I came to my parents and I said, I'm leaving corporate. I'm going to start my own business. And my mom was like, if anybody can do it, it's going to be you. She's like, every single thing you've said to me, you've accomplished. You said you were going to do this, you did it. You said you were going to try to do this and you did it. So she's like, if anybody can do it, it's going to be you.
That is so great to have support. I know that the day that I leave my corporate job, I'm not leaving yet, guys, but if I ever do, my dad is like, are you crazy?
Yeah, right? Because it seems a little crazy. It does.
Yeah, it does. But ultimately, I totally agree with you. You can accomplish anything in this life. It's just, do you believe that you can do it?
Yep, exactly.
That's awesome. So when someone leaves a conversation with you, what do you hope that they believe about themselves that they didn't believe before they had a conversation with you?
I hope they leave believing that they don't have to become someone else to build influence. You don't have to be louder. You don't have to dance on Instagram. You don't need 1 million followers. You simply just need the courage to consistently share what you already know. Because someone out there is someone who needs exactly the experience that you've already lived. They need to hear exactly the experiences you've lived, the mistakes you've made, because that could move them forward.
I totally agree. Is there a piece of advice or an affirmation that really lights you up every day that you consistently think about that has changed the way that you live your life?
I mean, I really think my motivation is my kids. You know, I always wanted to be a mom and I always wanted to be a present mom. And so if I just stick to that belief that there is more, I can make more out of my time than the time I had in corporate. If I can work 3 days a week and make more money than I was in corporate, then that is all the success that I need. I'm not looking to become a millionaire or the next big, marketing firm out there. I just wanted to have control over my own time and be the owner of that. And I have. And so I think that's really what's motivated me and pushed me further.
I love it. Well, Nicole, thank you for joining. I am just so impressed and inspired by your story. What you've built is incredible and it's incredibly valuable in today's world. Like, again, business owners should be showing up online, they should be building influence, but it is scary. So, having someone like you that can really help them through that and also just bring perspective that it's like, you just got to do it. Don't be scared. And it will resonate. Like all of the messages you've shared today, I think are going to be so impactful to the people listening. So thank you again for showing up.
Thank you so much for having me and letting me share my story. This was so much fun.
Absolutely. So, all of you listening, if this resonated, please make sure to like, comment, share with a friend, subscribe to the show, reach out to Nicole if you're interested in learning more about House of Influence. Again, we will see you next week with another incredible guest. I actually it might be a solo next week. We're going to see. I'll either be solo or have a guest. But I can't wait for you all to show up again next week. Thank you again, Nicole, and we'll see you all soon.